You are listening to Proof Text, a Glossa House podcast exploring Scripture and all things related to it. New episodes are released daily. For more information, check out glossahouse.com and subscribe to our channels on Spotify and YouTube. Welcome and enjoy.
Shalom, and welcome to another episode of SLA Insights. In this episode, I'm going to be kind of closing one series and opening another as we transition from reading fluency to vocabulary acquisition. I've been talking a lot about reading and the importance of reading, practical reading activities, with the goal of promoting reading fluency in Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. So I'm transitioning from reading fluency to vocabulary acquisition. So I want to talk just a little bit about vocabulary acquisition and why and how it's important for reading fluency. So rapid word recognition is by far the most important lower level reading skill. Vocabulary learning is going to be of great significance then for reading fluency. And as I've mentioned multiple times now, about reading fluency, how important it is to automatize the lower level skills like word recognition so that there's enough working memory for the higher level skills, which is really our goal in comprehension and interpretation. So more and deeper learning of vocabulary, so we're talking quantity and quality, is going to result in an increase in the automation of the lower level skill of word recognition, laying a foundation to build on towards comprehension and interpretation. So a language course that promotes the learning of large quantities of vocabulary and quality, again, of vocabulary learning, it's also going to give you the tools, the foundation for promoting reading fluency and comprehension. So I want you to consider a hypothetical situation here. We have student number one who can read a passage and knows all the vocabulary, but none of the grammar. Student two is going to look at that same text, but student two knows all the grammar, but none of the vocabulary. Who do you think is going to get something out of that text? Who's going to be able to comprehend the best of the two, the better of the two? It seems that the person who knows some vocab is going to be able to understand at least something, some of the gist of the text, even if they don't understand the grammar. Whereas someone who understands the grammar and can know, this is a perfect, this is a noun, and this declension, and so on, but does not know the vocabulary, they're not going to be able to understand the text. And so vocabulary acquisition is really essential for reading fluency, and I would argue more so than grammar learning. So this is the reason why in the next few episodes, I'm going to be doing some deep dive into vocabulary acquisition, what it means to know a word, how to learn vocabulary, and so on. But understand we're doing this because it promotes reading fluency. But before I do a full transition, I want to do a quick review of reading fluency and what I've covered over the last few episodes. I began in episode 64 of SLA Insights by defining reading fluency, and including goals for ancient languages. Are they the same as if you're reading modern languages? What's the same? What's different? We talked about the mental processes involved in reading, and this was covered in episodes 66 through 69, where we talked about working memory, the phonological loop, a few practical ideas included in there. And then skill development I covered in episodes 70 through 78. And this is where I really talked about the lower level skills of like word recognition and so on versus the higher level skills, for example, comprehension or interpretation. And then finally, I rounded it out at the end with some instructional intervention, how to promote reading fluency. And I gave a few ideas, including extensive reading rate practice, recycling, reusing texts, and so on. And so if you want to go back and review any of those, hopefully that gives you a quick guide of what I've covered up to this point. So now, as I said, we're transitioning, closing up, reviewing reading fluency, but in doing so, transitioning into vocabulary acquisition. And so I want to talk about things like aspects of knowing a word, factors that will affect vocabulary learning and the retention of that learning, some implications for instruction, some practical ideas to give learners and students and teachers as they're learning vocabulary to how to do it best, how to promote vocabulary learning, that large quantities but also quality of vocabulary learning. So I hope you can join me for this upcoming series looking at vocabulary. In the meantime, have a great week.
Interested in growing your ancient language skills but not sure where to start? Glossa House can help. From illustrated readers and short stories to lexicons and grammars, Glossa House offers a variety of resources for beginning, intermediate, and experienced ancient language learners. Head to glossahouse.com today. Glossa House, language resources for the global community.